Happy Friday. Happy Friday. You are listening to the She Heals Radio Show on Awesome God Radio. I am your host, Whitney J. It is Friday, November 6th, 2020. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are tuning in on the Awesome God Radio app, thank you so much. If you have not downloaded the free Awesome God Radio app, listen, you're missing out. So many amazing shows, so many amazing artists, their music. We have ministry partners, amazing church services and sermons. Listen, just get the app. Just get the app. And I'm telling you, what you thought you knew about Awesome God Radio, you don't even know. We are moving forward. God is doing an amazing thing, and I want you to be a part of it. So grab the app. If you are tuning in on Periscope, thank you. If you're tuning in on my YouTube channel, thank you. Please follow me on both Whitney Hogan's. If you are tuning in on my Facebook Live, thank you so much. Please click the like button, share it to your page, and leave us a comment. And listen, follow Awesome God Radio on every media platform. It is so much bigger than just the She Heals Radio Show. We are an entire family. And I'm telling you, if you get connected, you will be blessed immensely. We have an amazing guest coming on the second half of the show. Oops, look at me dropping. We have an amazing guest coming in the second half of the show, Jewel Booker. She is someone that I know and love. She is an amazing woman of God. And I'm telling you, you're going to be blessed by her story and you're going to be blessed by her music. So be ready for that. Listen, y'all, I don't know about y'all, but it has been a week. Of course, the biggest thing is we are still in the throes of the election, right? So we know election day was this past Tuesday. We know that, we're still waiting for ballots to, be counted and we're just waiting. And it's a very eerie time, a lot of time of uncertainty. Of course, we are believing God that the right candidate will be elected to be president. There is so much tension on one side or the other. There's so much foolishness that is happening, right? 1 minute, we're all about counting ballots, and then all of a sudden we're shifting, and it's just so much going on. And so this has been a really emotionally heavy week. I mean, it's been an emotionally heavy year. We already know that. But I feel like this week, I can only speak for myself, has been really, really heavy. And, it's just like, when is it going to end? When are things going to get better? We just want it to be over, right? So if you're like me, patience is not my area of strength. So I'm like, Lord, I just need to know the results. I just want the official. I see the states and I see the electoral, but I see all of that. But I just want the official, right? I just want the official. I want it done. I want that peace of mind of knowing it is finished. But here's the thing. God's plan is God's plan, even when we are sitting in the uncertainty. And so it is important for us to keep ourselves grounded, even in the uncertainty. So what do you do when you are feeling uncertain? Listen, y'all, I'm all about I'm being super transparent. And like I said, this has been a rough week, and I've been in an interesting season over the last couple months. A lot of amazing things have happened, but I have been going through what I would call an emotional awakening. God is opening some things, and I am being healed from some things. I'm being freed from some things. And, it is great, but it is draining at times. It gets draining. And, I could feel some of the signs and symptoms of depression and anxiety starting to creep back in. And here's the thing. You can be the most healed, right? You can do all the right things, but you're never without trial. And you're never without any moment can take you back to something. And so I don't want you to ever feel that guilt or that weight or like you're doing something wrong just when you re-experience something that you have dealt with before. It just means that you got to get reconnected to God. It just means that there's a little bit more healing that needs to take place. And so I could feel the symptoms. I know myself and I know my body and my mindset. And I could feel that this was a little bit more than just feeling down. This was a little bit more than just having genuine, concern about a few things. This was anxiety and depression taking over. How could I tell? my sleep pattern started to change. Now, I'm naturally a person that wakes up in the middle of the night. I'm a thinker. I do my best thinking between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. So it's not uncommon for me to wake up. So just because I'm waking up doesn't necessarily mean I'm anxious or I am depressed. But I was waking up a lot. Or the opposite, I was sleeping a lot. Going to sleep really, really early and waking up later than usual. My eating has been all over the place. 1 minute I'm overeating, the next minute I'm not hungry, I'm not eating at all. I could feel myself that up and down, and not being as productive, or sometimes being super productive, meaning I'm like getting a million things done. And it's probably not even healthy that I've done all of these things. And so I could feel that shift. And so when you're feeling that shift, when you start to feel that something is different, listen, don't be ashamed. Get help. About a month and a half or so ago, I started going to therapy weekly. Now, I have been in therapy off and on my entire life, but for the last 3.5 years, I have really taken therapy seriously. And at one point, I was going twice a month. I was going bi-weekly, and then I kind of transitioned into once a month, and that was going well. But about a month and a half ago, I just realized, I need more support. Could it have been because of the virus and the fact that we've been home, this whole 8 months now? It could have been that, maybe. Could it have been, there's a lot of things going on. There's just so much going on in the world, in our country, in our communities, and even in my personal life. But I just could feel something was different. So I made the choice that, I need additional support. And so I decided to go from going to therapy monthly to going weekly. Well, here's the thing about going to therapy weekly. On one end, it is good. You are breaking chains. You are healing. You are freeing yourself. It's great to have that support. But for those that are familiar with therapy is work. Therapy is not always pretty. It does not always feel good. Therapy is challenging. Therapy it can be grueling sometimes. I mean, there are sometimes like I go on Mondays. This past Monday, I left therapy and I felt so good. I mean, there was just so much clarity that I got in that session. There was just some things that were revealed to me that I've been kind of pondering on throughout the week, and it's been really good. There's been times where I've left therapy and I felt awful because I had to open up something. I had to peel back some layers. I had to go back to a place that I may not necessarily want to go to, but I needed to go to get my healing. And now I'm trying to deal with the emotion and all of that. So it is difficult. So I made the decision that regardless of how it felt, I needed to be healed. And if this is the process that God has given me to my healing, if this is the journey to my healing, then this is what I'm going to do. And so I made that decision, and I've been doing it hard or not. I've been rocking it out every week going to therapy. I was doing really good with working out and eating well, and I kind of fell off the wagon, y'all. And so I realized, what? I need to get back to eating my best all the time, being consistent with my eating and drinking enough water. I need to be consistent with working out every single day. Get outside and go on a walk. I used to go on a walk for 3 miles every day. Now, the weather is going to be shifting. We only have so many good days, left. Get out there. Get active. I just, decided I was going to get some things, a few items that I could have here at home, because I do my best preparation, in my mind and my body and my spirit early in the morning. So I like to get up an hour or two before it's time to get my kids up and start my work day and all of those things. Well, in order for me to do that, I get up to have that time with God. I get up to pray and to read my word and to worship and to just enjoy the quiet. Listen, as a single parent, or as a parent in general, anytime you can just get some time to be by yourself and to just rest and think, that's what I need to be able to start my day. That's what I need to be able to go on. And so I've decided that, hey, in addition to getting my spirit right and my mind right, I also need to get my body right. And so this is a good time when I'm up early in the morning, when everybody is sleeping, the house is quiet, for me to get that workout in. So let me get a couple items to assist me with that. So I had to put together a plan. I had to reach out to help, ask for help. I had to share what I was actually feeling. I had to reach out to my trainer, who's my friend, shout out to Keisha, and say, listen, this is what I'm going through right now. I had to reach out to, my sweetheart, the amazing man of God that God has sent into my life, and say, hey, this is what I am feeling. This is what's happening. I had to reach out and ask for prayer with those prayer partners and my best friend. I had to get a plan, and I had to be unapologetic about saying, I need help. I'm not okay. It's a lot. So whatever you need to do that and be unapologetic about it. And so I didn't say to myself, oh my gosh, I've been struggling with depression my entire life, and why am I back here? I didn't beat myself up. I didn't question my faith in God. Maybe I'm not holy enough, because if I was holy enough, I wouldn't be dealing with this anymore. None of that is true. I just said, God, this is where I am. And here's the best part. God already knew I was going to be here. He's omnipresent. He already knew that I was going to reach this period and reach this rough patch. And he already gave me the things that I needed to get the healing that he has already said is mine. The question is, are you going to get the healing that God has already said is yours? Are you willing to say, you know what? I'm not okay. I need a little extra help. And you know what? That's okay. I'm going to do what I need to do. So I can't go and solve this the way that somebody else does. I've got to do what I need to do. And in my personal walk, that includes therapy. That includes exercise. That includes making adjustments to what I am eating. That includes resting. That includes alone time. That includes family time. That includes watching silly things on TV. I was in a group chat with my family today, and we all just were sharing what are some of our self-care things. What are we doing to manage in this season? And, I love music. So if it's even just me sitting and putting on some music for a little bit and just enjoying that, or, watching a movie, or, whatever, what is your self-care plan? Here's the thing. God is a complete healer, but he doesn't expect us to take a hit and not feel the weight from it. He doesn't expect us to take a hit and just kind of be like, okay, God, we have to still take the hit. And he's not expecting us to, be perfect with it. He's not expecting us to be like, oh, that didn't even hurt. No, he expects us to be who we are. It's ebbs and flows with this life. It's ebbs and flows with our walking with God. So you can come to God and say, I'm not okay, God, and God can take that. So don't let people try to tell you that just because you know God, that means that you need to be perfect all the time and you shouldn't be fazed by anything. That's absolutely ridiculous. What we need to do is be honest about where we are so we can get what we need. I think about times that, I'm a woman, so sometimes, we do the most, or I do the most. I'll speak for myself. Sometimes I do the most. Have you ever been in a situation where somebody asks you if you're hungry? And you're like, no, I'm not hungry. You're really hungry. But you're like, no, I'm not hungry. I'm good. And they're like, you sure? Sure you're not hungry? I'm getting something to eat. No, I'm not hungry. I'm good. And then they go and get something to eat. They come back and they're sitting there and they're eating their food and you're looking at it. And your stomach is growling. And you probably have a little drool coming out the side of your mouth because you really were hungry, right? And now you got an attitude with them because they didn't just know to give you some food because you said you were not hungry. And so here's the thing. We've got to be vocal about what we need. This is not the season for mind readers. This is not the season for just figure it out. If you need something, you got to say something. And listen, it's okay to not know what you need. I remember, this week, just kind of going through something and being asked, what do you need? How can I help? And I simply said, I don't know. And that's okay too. Because guess what? Just the admission that you don't know, if that person truly cares and they really want to help, they're going to seek God and God is going to provide it. And sometimes God will just do it. He'll just do it without you even having to ask. So it's super important that you know where you are and that you ask for what you need. You've got to be sensitive to yourself. You got to know what your thing is. You got to know those triggers. You have to know, oh, okay, certain times of the year. So I know when it starts to get dark early, right? And the days are not as long, I know I need a little extra self-care. With the way that the virus and the numbers are fluctuating, it's very possible that we could be shutting down soon. I'm already thinking about that. and just thinking, you know what are some self-care things I can do in the house? Let me get the journals because I like to journal. Maybe I can get some board games and some games to play with my family. Maybe I'll, make sure I got my streaming services so I can watch my shows and my movies. What are the things that I need? Because I'm going to need something. And I don't want to wait until I'm too low to get it. And no, I am not okay. I have been struggling with anxiety and depression this week, but I'm more than a conqueror through Jesus Christ. So even though I'm struggling, God is still good and still to be glorified because he will heal me. I am healed already, even though I may not see it and feel it right now. But because of that, I've got to get some things in place. I'm not going to wait till I'm all the way down. I'm going to seek God right now and say, God, listen, I am struggling right now, but I know your grace is sufficient for me. I may not know exactly what I need, but you do. So God, lead, God, and direct me. The word of God says in Romans 8 that when we don't know what we ought to pray for, the Holy Spirit will interpret our groans. So even when I don't have a word to give to God and I'm just crying before him, he can interpret that and still meet my need. That's just how great he is. So you've got to be in tune with yourself in this season, especially in these times. So many things going on, so much uncertainty, but we serve a God who is certain. So we have to be able to trust. This is where your faith comes in, that God, even though I can't see it, I don't know how you're going to do it. I don't even know if it's going to work out. I don't even know what's going to happen, God, but I trust you. Even in my personal life, there are things that I'm going through and it's like I've been trying to control it because I just really wanted to work out a certain way. And this week, God has been really convicting me in that area of, I can handle that situation much better than you can because I know the other side of it. You're only seeing this one situation. I'm seeing the entire plan and how I'm going to use this one situation to help over here, and this one situation to heal you here, and this one situation to correct you over here, and this one situation is going to lead you to another opportunity or another assignment. God can see the whole picture. And so I've been trying to make it work with my resources and my knowledge and my skill. And I finally got to that place, as hard as it is, and it's as fearful as it can be to let go of something and say, you know what, God, your will be done. Yes, I'm worried about it. Yes, I may even be afraid. You got to be honest with God. If that's where you are, say that. Yes, God, I may be afraid. Yes, I'm nervous. Yes, God, I'm really struggling with this because I'm really afraid that if it doesn't work out like this, that I don't know what's going to happen. But God, I'm going to give it to you anyway because you are far more equipped to handle it than I am. That's the space I'm in today. I'm still in the uncertainty. I don't have it figured out. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how it's going to work out, which way things are going to turn. I have no idea, but I am at peace in this moment because I know who does know. I know that he knows. And I know that his yes is wrapped in goodness and his no is wrapped in goodness. So regardless, I will be victorious. My family will be victorious. Whatever the circumstances will end in victory because of who he is, not by my skills or talents, not by my abilities, not by my resources, but by him and him alone. Do you have enough faith to say, God, I'm going to let it go? I'm going to let it go. God, I know about the financial issue, but I'm going to let it go. God, I don't know what to do in this relationship, and I'm going to let it go. God, I don't know what to do with my kids, but I'm going to let it go. God, I don't know what to do on my job, but I'm going to let it go. God, I know what the doctor report says, but I'm going to let it go. God, I don't know what's happening in this country, but I'm going to let it go. God, they're talking about me, they're hurting me, but I'm going to let it go. Do you have enough to let it go? It's one of the hardest things that we can ever do, but it's also one of the most freeing things that we can do. Earlier this week, I was blessed to share the word with an amazing group of women. And, they were talking about becoming an unstoppable woman. And I was sharing with them, and God gave me to share with them from the story of the woman with the issue of blood. So check out Luke 8:43-48 if you get a chance. When you get a chance, make time to read it. And so one of the things that I got from there is, this woman, she has an issue of blood for 12 years. She's literally crawling through the crowd to get to Jesus. And she doesn't even get to talk. She doesn't say, "Excuse me, Jesus, can you please heal me?" She doesn't get to have a conversation with him. She doesn't prim herself up and get herself looking good before she goes. She's literally crawling on the floor to get to him. And all she does is touch the hem of his garment, and he stops. And he says, "Who touched me?" And the disciples are like, "I don't know." Plenty of people. It's people all around. And he said, "No, I felt power leave me." And he finds this woman. She had enough faith to know if she could just touch the hem of his garment, that she would be healed. And he said, "Your faith has healed you." And she was immediately healed. So that's a beautiful story, right? And I was sharing with them that oftentimes we think that the journey to life is the end goal is to get the things that we're believing God for. So if if you've always wanted to be a wife or a husband or a mother or a father, or you wanted to have that business or own that home, have that car, have that job, have that ministry, have that, position or whatever. So a lot of us think that we're on the journey to get those things. So the end game is when you have them, right? The end game is when you got the spouse, you got the kids, you got the house, you got the car, you got the career, you've got all of that, right? But really, the journey is not for us to get to those things. The journey is for us to get to Jesus. And so we have to be in constant pursuit. This woman was in constant pursuit to get to him. And, the one thing I thought about with this woman is, my God, can you imagine what it was like to have an issue with blood? Blood is disgusting. I'm not one of those people that can watch those hospital shows. I can't watch when it's gross. And so can you imagine how vulnerable she was to be crawling through this crowd of people bleeding? Can you imagine what that must have looked like? I have to imagine if people saw her and were like, "Ew, this woman's bleeding all over the place. She's dirty and she's crawling on the ground. She's not even standing up and walking to get to Jesus." But her focus was on getting to Jesus. It didn't matter if she was crawling. It didn't matter how fast or slow she was moving. It didn't even matter if maybe she had to take a stop to catch her breath every once in a while. It didn't matter that she was bleeding. It didn't matter that it had been 12 years. She knew that if she got to him, she would get everything that she needed, so she moved. Are you willing to move towards Jesus regardless of how it looks? People might look at you like, "Dad, she's been in that situation for a long time. Dad, look at this and look at her, and she's going through this, she's going through that. He's going through this, he's going through that." Are you willing to pursue Jesus at all costs? Are you willing to be tunnel vision to get to Jesus, no matter how you look, no matter how long it takes, no matter any of those things? Are you willing to go your route, your journey, his way to him? That's the question you got to ask for yourself. Because if not, you're wasting your time. If your only goal is to get to the spouse and the kids and the house and the car and the job and the position and the fame or whatever, you're never going to be satisfied, because there's always something else that comes, right? So every time we get our new phone or whatever, in a year or so, another one's going to come out and we're going to want that one too. You're never going to be satisfied. There is something so satisfying about a genuine relationship with Jesus Christ. It's something that being in church on Sunday can never give you. It's that personal relationship. That God, you're the God of me being in the shower crying this morning. You're the God of me wiping my tears so that my kids don't see me crying. You're the God of when I'm feeling great and motivated and things are going well. You're the God of when things are going awful. You're the God of when I'm angry at you because I'm looking at things that you're allowing to happen and wondering why you're not moving. He's the God of whatever, anything and everything. And I just got to get to him. Whether I crawl, walk, run, whatever, I just gotta get there. And I don't care who's looking or what they have to say about how I'm moving, as long as I'm moving towards him. Here's something else that I want to share with you. The woman with the issue of blood, we never know her name, right? We don't get her. We don't know her name. The verses that she's in are very short. We just know her, this woman with the issue of blood. That's it. Her name could be, I don't know, Betsy, but we don't know, right? And I used to be like, Dad, God, her story is so powerful. You didn't even give her a name. But he did give her a name. Her name is Healed. Some of us are so beat down by our stories. And we're like, God, why did you give me this? So I know for me, I'm like, God, when I think about what people see me and what they get from me, I don't want them to remember me as this woman who lost her husband and it was a widow at 25, or this single mom, or the mom who has a child with autism, or this or that, or the woman that struggled with, depression and anxiety and suicide. I don't want that. Like, that's my story. And God's like, that's not what I call you. That's what you see, because you're always attaching your identity to what you have been through. I call you healed. I call you anointed. I call you appointed. I call you daughter. I call you loved. That's what I'm calling you. I don't even have to say your name for your power that I have put in you to reign throughout the world. So even though we never know this woman's name, we don't know her whole story, her book, her word, her testimony is so powerful that we don't even need it. And the thing is, you don't only know her as the woman with the issue of blood. You know her as the woman with the issue of blood who was healed by her faith. So here's the thing. When people say the woman with the issue of blood, you don't just think about the fact that she had an issue of blood for 12 years. You see the whole story. You think about the whole story of how she touched the hem of his garment and she was immediately healed. So stop thinking that your identity is in your pain. Stop thinking your identity is in who hurt you or what hurt you or what happened to you or what you did or what you didn't do. Your story is a full story that ends in victory. You are who God says you are, not who you say you are, not who the people in the crowd say you are, not who your friends or your family say who you are, not who your enemies say who you are. You are who God says you are. Cling to that like you cling to any and everything else. Think about that the next time that you try to put that label on yourself. I'm so much more than those labels. You got to cling to the fact that God has called you and chosen you. And you've got to cling to the fact that all you need to do is be in pursuit of him and you will find him. Just as the woman with the issue of blood, whether you got to crawl, bleed out, whatever, just get to him. He's right there. He's waiting for you. He loves you and he is going to bless you. He has not forgotten you. Let's get healed, y'all. Let's get better, y'all. Let's get free. We deserve it. God wants us to have it. As we transition into the next segment of the show, I am super, super blessed to have this amazing woman getting ready to join us momentarily. Listen, I have to say this. When you meet people, sometimes when you meet people, let me say that. Sometimes when you meet people, you just have an encounter. I can't tell you the first day I met her, like personally spoke to her, but I can tell you the first day I saw her, she was leading praise and worship. Here she is. Hey, Jules.
Hey, lady.
How are you? You look beautiful.
Absolutely wonderful. Oh my gosh, I'm so hyped to be here.
Yeah, so let me finish telling this story
Okay.
because I'm pumped. So I remember the first time I saw you, and I come to church. I get there early because I got to get my kids downstairs. I got to sit down. I got to get ready, and I came in, and you were like finishing up rehearsing, right? Mm. I've never seen you before. But you were just singing. And my first thought was, she is beautiful and her voice is beautiful. That was the first thing I saw. Oh, she's beautiful. Wow. And her voice is beautiful. But then it was something there. I can't really describe it. It was something there this is more than a woman who is beautiful and a woman who can sing, right? Because we should expect that at church, right? We should expect singers that can sing.
Okay.
You know. But hear it. And then I actually got to meet you and I got to chat with you here and there and we connected on social media. And your spirit is so pure and so genuine. And it is an honor to know you.
Wow. That's a lot. Like I came ready. I was like, you're not going to get me today. I'm going to just I'ma just be all together prepared.
Well,
'cause
I've
I
been
know,
so ready, so whatever, y'all.
I go from 0 to full tears in 2.5
Yes,
seconds.
that's me. Listen,
Wow.
don't play, and then laugh.
Right.
It's a mess. It's a mess.
Right. So first of all, wow, like that means a lot, because that definitely has not always been the way I've seen myself. Right. And I'm gonna just go ahead and launch in, because we're talking transparency, right?
Yes,
like
we are.
I was that middle school ugly duckling that had the Jerry curl and went to the school with all of the white people who didn't really understand the Jerry curl. And so when I got up from my seat on the school bus and it was greasy behind me, the chants came, the greasy.
Wow.
So like, when you think about difficult childhoods and insecurities and all those types of things, like I have walked through that, walked through it for years, and even internally now still have my moments with that. So
absolutely,
to have that be your first impression of me, still even today, I'm just like, dang, somebody say I was beautiful, Jesus. That's so cool.
You are, and you are. So yes, embrace that.
Bless God,
in the first half of the show, I was talking about being unapologetic in your pursuit to God.
Oh, heck yeah.
No matter how it looks. I was talking about the lady with the issue of blood.
Yes.
I can't even imagine how she looked out there trying to get to Jesus, but she got to him. And that's the point, right?
Right.
And so you and I were chatting a little bit yesterday, and one of the things we said was, in this particular season, we're kind of all being faced with ourselves in one way or another, because many of the things that we may do to distract ourselves from certain things have been taken away in one way or another.
Yeah.
You gotta sit with it, right?
This year, I'm telling you, this year has been like a Jesus-induced, what's the word I'm looking for? House arrest. That's what I'm like. I mean, as if he was just like, you know what? It's too much going on. You just sit down, and you just sit, and y'all just go to your room.
It's like that parent when everybody's like, all right, everybody sit down.
Go to your room,
Shut the house down.
And you have no choice but to just sit there and think about it. Think about yourself. Think about what you've done. If you've done something wrong, right? Then probably shouldn't have done that, But for all of us, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, I'm definitely in agreement. Like, this has been that year where we haven't had a choice but to be introspective and to consider, okay, really, how am I doing? I tuned in a little bit earlier, and you were talking about your emotional health journey, and I'm definitely in the midst of mine. And I feel like everybody needs a counselor. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you come from. Everybody.
I can't wait to my appointment.
What? What? I'm trying to be all the way free. Like, not pieces of free. But something about this time, I think, has caused some of us to struggle a little bit more than others. I know for me, it's been freeing, but it's also been hecka hard. Because I can't run from everything that is my own pain, my own woundedness, my own struggle. I can't run from it, right? And generally speaking, I do. Like, when we met each other, please, I would just be busy. What? You need me to do a Bible study somewhere? You need me to lead work? You need me to help? I could start a choir. Like, give me something else to do, because I didn't want to face the fact that
I don't want to do this.
Come on.
I don't want to do this. Yeah.
And this for me was facing my singleness, facing my loneliness, facing the fact that I've loved Jesus from my tippy toes for years, and I feel like when we met, I was probably in my 18, 19, 20th year of knowing the Lord. And I was just like, well, Jesus, I just want to love somebody, and I want somebody to love me. But there was so much brokenness in my past that I hadn't dealt with in some type of real strategic, get somebody who's got some training type of a way, which I needed, because I hadn't dealt with that. It was easier for me to say, oh, well, because I'm loving Jesus and doing everything that, that seems to be good and right and holy and righteous, all of the wonderful things in life should just come.
They definitely should. That's what we think. That's it, right? I give my life to Jesus, and then everything is cool from there.
Yeah. And then real life sets in, and we remember that we live in a fallen world. Like, this whole world is broken.
Yes.
We're broken. The people we dealing with are broken. The folk that we think are rejecting us or hurting us they just as broken. And so they don't even realize half the time that what you're expecting from them is stuff they can't even give. Like, it's all types of stuff. And I feel like what I've had to do this year is take that pain, take that, honestly, frustration. Because me and the Lord have real honest conversations. I'm like, no, but for real, Jesus, what was all of that?
Yeah, listen. I have definitely had to I got to bring Jesus to the red table sometimes. Like, bruh.
Come on now. Like, let's just
have a conversation, because you are doing the absolute most right now.
Or the absolute least. Like, I'm asking you for this, and this, and you sit up. What you doing? Is you eating? What you doing? Is you busy? Like, I just need to know.
I mean, it is so real. And and that's the spirit of being transparent, that I am so sick of people in the body of Christ portraying this image that it's all good.
Yeah.
Listen, it is completely okay.
Yeah.
You say to God, I love you, God, and I trust you, and I know that you know best, but this hurts.
Yes.
But
that's what he wants.
That's
right?
What
that's what he wants. Like, my Bible says he desires truth in the inward part. Like, truth. He wants us to be completely honest, completely true. True with ourselves, right? True with him. Because he already knows everything. What are we hiding? We're not hiding it from him.
He just wants us to come to him. He just wants us to say, you know what? And you know, I understand singleness and loneliness. You know, I have been a widow for 8 years, and just recently, God sent an amazing man in my life.
I'm gonna celebrate with you. I don't care what nobody said. We're gonna take this moment.
Listen. Who knew?
I love love. Yes.
I love love too. And I was at that point of like, okay, God, well, if you just ran out of husbands, just say that. But you know, he answered my prayer in his timing, his way. But the reality is, yes, everybody loves a good, you know, a good ending, right? Like, oh yeah, this is great. But I had
that in between
for that. Oof. I had to bleed for that. I had to endure the loss of my husband. I had to sit with God with like, really, dude? Like, that was your plan? I had to sit through a very unique position to be a widow at my age.
Yeah.
You know, and things like that. I'm 34 now, and I've been widowed this year. So, you know, it's a lot of things that I had to sit with, and I had to come to God. And that loneliness, I don't care whether you've been single or you're widowed or you're divorced, whatever your journey is, that loneliness, it is one of the most draining, consuming things.
Yeah.
And I don't want to hear Jesus is my husband. Okay. Because I got
two of these.
And you will catch both. Okay. I don't want to hear, you know, well, when you're you know, this is the pastors love this one. I love y'all pastors, but y'all love when you're single, you can do so much for God. Okay. I can do stuff for God with a boo too. I was doing stuff for God married. So, you know, it's one of those things.
That's so real. Yes.
Like,
and I think,
be honest.
Yeah. And I'm gonna go there, because for me, all right, so I came to Christ at 19, right? And my life before Jesus was ratchet, trash, just, you know, and I mean, and I can say that, right? Like, I don't say that from like this crazy place, because I was wounded, right? Like, I was molested when I was younger. And so there was some twistedness in my story that made my bad choices make sense at the time. And I've had to really like come to terms with the fact that, I mean, really, if this happened to anybody else, I would probably look at them and be like, well, of course you would act like that. Like, if that's how you grew up, of course that would make sense.
And you don't know any different.
Exactly.
You know,
And so, you know, at 19, I realized, wait a minute, like there's like a whole entire God, like a real God who really loves me, right? And who's not expecting me to do anything for him or to him, like men and others have, in order to earn his love. Like, he loved me first.
Yeah,
that's how I came to Jesus. You know what I mean? Free, and not just free, but like free. And I came out first. Like, he preempted this thing. Like, look, I love you. I'm gonna prove it. Now, how about this? Like, do you want to love me back? Heck yeah. Like, when faced with a story like that, really internalized, faced with a story like that, I was just like, yo, I have been living like trash, and you've been here this whole time, just waiting for me to notice you.
Just waiting.
What? You know, so that's Come on. So that's the way my relationship with Christ started, right? Like it wasn't any external person that walked me down an aisle and dragged me this way or that way. So my love for Jesus has been a genuine love, a heartfelt love since that first day. But because of all of the things that were off in my past, when it came to, walking into church and wanting to hear from everybody else, hey guys, help me to know what this is supposed to look like. Because I know how I did it was wrong. So y'all teach me the new way. In my brokenness, I took my dissociation, right? The fact that when I was abused, I completely cut off from my feelings, from my emotions, my desires. I cut those things off. And so in Christ, that stuff looked virtuous, right? The fact that I'm not dealing at all with emotions and temptations and all of that. I'm just doing what the Lord told me to do and living this Christian life. Like it looks virtuous. Really, really righteous and virtuous, but it was still just as broken.
That's a word.
Just as broken. And I was and I was lauded and applauded for, oh, you're just so righteous and so holy. And look at her, she's been walking for 20 years and hasn't had sex with anybody. And just, she's the this and the that. And I'm feeling like, but if that's true, why am I still by myself?
That's a word. And how many people, Jewel, are right now feeling that exact same thing? Lord, I'm doing all the right things, but why haven't you honored this? And this could be whatever. I know
exactly
that are believing God for children.
I was about to say that one. Yes.
Or believing God for spouses or just healing. Not even that I want physical, you to give me something. Just want you to heal me. I want to feel good. And I remember just praying, God, I just want to be able to wake up one morning and be able to put my feet on the ground without 30 minutes of having to crawl to get out the bed. I want to be able to not be consumed by my thoughts and my pain before I even wake up.
Yeah.
I'm not even asking you for much. I don't need
really. I just want to be okay.
I just want to be okay.
Yeah.
Like so many people are struggling. And it's like, God, like you said, I'm doing the right things, Jesus. I'm trying. I'm trying to be a good person. What's up?
Here's what breaks my heart, though. I think that in our zeal, and you kind of touched on it earlier, but I think in our zeal as Christians to try to paint a good picture of what this life with Jesus is like, because it is good, right? Like this life with Christ has more to it and more in it than I could ever have imagined. The fulfillment that I have, the peace that I have. I mean, my life was full of drama. I mean, because let's just be honest. The issues when you around here mess around with Tom, Dick, Harry, and Harry got a Jenny at home, and Tom got a Bonquisha at home, and so you got to deal with the Jennies and the Bonquishas because you're dealing with the Toms and the Dicks and the Harrys, and like it was just drama. Right. And in Christ, I don't have to deal with the drama like I did because it wasn't so much complication that came from that type of sin lifestyle.
That's right.
But it doesn't mean everything's perfect. It doesn't mean I don't have.
It just means I'm not dealing with that. That's all it means.
Right. And it means I'm not dealing with that today. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not my lifestyle. But I still have to deal with issues here and there, And I think that what we do in church sometimes is we do this disservice of trying to paint this black and then white, dark and then light. What becomes light is the essence of who I am, right? My desires changed when I got to know the Lord. My heart, the things that I wanted to do, the way I wanted to be changed when I got to know the Lord. But now it's like, I have to realize that as a believer, I got to be just as honest with other people about how this world is this world. Yeah. And now as someone who loves Jesus, I walk through this world with supernatural help, but I'm still walking through this world.
Right.
And so I don't know. I just feel like because we don't tell the whole story, we end up with people like me who get disillusioned thinking we must be doing something wrong because you told me it's supposed to be like this and it's supposed to be like that. So I guess I'm not praying enough. I guess I didn't fast enough. Right. I guess I'm not, serious enough about service.
And I do stumble again. Oh, I can't come back.
Right. I'm just throw me away. Throw the whole person away.
I can't come back because I got it wrong. I made that mistake again. I can't, and it's amazing how we do that and we play our part in that, and we don't always know it. Right? It's
That's
not
true.
everything is not malicious and intended to be negative. Sometimes
Of course
we
not.
know
Of
that
course not.
we're doing. I can think of things that I have said to people
Yep.
that now I'm on the other side of that. And I was like, oh, that was dumb.
Right. Right.
That was a
Like,
dumb
with
thing to
Jesus.
say to somebody, or that didn't make them feel good, or
Yeah.
or things like, just keep praying. Listen, there are some things that you can pray from the dawn of day to the midnight hour that you're going to need some extra things.
Yeah, you're going to do something different.
Because prayer is supposed to be an activation to do some work.
Amen. That's so good.
I can pray, I can get the diagnosis, and I can pray for the healing. But at some point, there's a process that's going to be involved for me to.
That's so good.
That's
so good.
And I got to submit to that. I can't, it's not a genie.
Yeah, and that's the stuff that we got to talk about. I feel like what we, as 21st century believers, have to be willing to do is to take the covers off of our process. To not be so afraid of, is somebody gonna judge me? Is somebody gonna think I'm not really holy, that I don't really love Jesus? Because we've done that to others, and so we feel like somebody's gonna do it to us.
Right?
Maybe I'm just talking about myself.
Nope. You're right here. I'm right there with you. I'm like, this don't feel
like
good on this side.
Yes. I feel like sometimes we get so afraid of how others will see us, and they won't think that I'm as holy as they thought I was, or whatever self-righteous foolishness that we end up caught up in. Lord, forgive us. But we got to be willing to go there. And I feel like for me, I thought it was going to be so life-changing, sis. Like, I was just like, okay, come January, I'm looking at my life, walked with the Lord for 20 years, didn't have sex with anybody. And I'm like, yes, the Lord is going to send me something amazing. And I was about to sure enough give up. I was like, Jesus, if you don't send me a husband now, I'm about to just wild out and just, I don't care no more, And I get married and it's horrible. It's horrible. And I'm like, this is what I waited for. Jeez, this is what those 20 some odd years were for, and I was so hurt and I was so disillusioned and I was so just confused. Like, how did I end up here? Like, I wasn't one of those people that was like, I love Jesus, but I'm just doing my thing. Like, I've been seriously, like, from the heart, checking my thoughts, checking my motives, and still ended up there. And I hadn't felt free enough to share what I felt during those times of loneliness, those times of disillusionment, those times when I loved somebody I wasn't supposed to love. Now, I might not have acted on it necessarily, or I might have, like, because I don't want to have anybody feeling like one way or the, well, that means because I acted on it, I'm over here and she's over there. Like, that's not the point. The point is, I decided in January, I'm going to start talking about this. As a matter of fact, the songs that I've sang in my quiet time with Jesus, the songs that I've written to help me feel better about what I'm going through, I'm actually going to release them. And I thought it was going to be the craziest. Like, January, mind you. I'm like, okay, I'm going to sing these songs about how, I've been trying to trust Jesus and this and that, and, about my divorce and all of this. And I thought that I was going to have to, like, sell this, to people, like, to talk about unpleasant things. That's probably not going to be very popular, but I feel like that's what God wants me to do. And when I would share with people personally, they were like, oh, I'm rocking with you. Like, I know that feeling,
let's do that. Yeah.
And so I'm like, well, all right, here I go. So I started recording an album. The name of the album is Lovesick 2020. I added the 2020 because after 2020 started kicking in, I was like, oh, I think they don't understand.
2020 is the most, we all get it. We ready.
Right. I was like, you might have seen the end from the beginning or something.
That's right. So let's hop right into Lovesick 2020. Because listen, I told you, I watched your music video. I'm a little upset with you because you should have told me ahead of time not to watch it while I'm trying to do something else. Working.
My bad.
Because I had to have a whole moment with Jesus. Like, oh, okay, well, now the work's not getting done because I'm laid on the floor.
Right. We'll get back to this in a little bit.
Right. So let's talk about Lovesick 2020. So you took all of what God had allowed you to go through.
Yeah.
And you flipped it.
Yeah.
You flipped it. And you said, listen, if I'm gonna tell the story, I'm gonna tell it all.
Let's do it. Let's
talk about Lovesick 2020. Tell us all about it.
So the first single was just released on Friday. And it's called Who Am I? And it's
listen. Again. Again. Again.
No.
Yes, I said that. I said, oh, okay.
Look, I was getting my makeup done at the end of the video. Like, all right, just hold on. Stop this. Just okay, we can go back. We can go back. I'm like, I'm not trying to mess this up. But yeah, it's like that. You know, it's a song that really it expresses everything we've been talking about, right? Yeah. The authenticity, the questioning, the okay, God. I know, you know, as a worship leader, people are looking at me on Sundays and they're like, wow, you know, which was also kind of hurtful because sometimes you look at those people who have like a title or, you know, that look like they're somewhere or doing something. Right. And it's just another form of isolation. Because I remember even at church, when we were going to church together, I'd be up there and, you know, I'm giving it all for Jesus and trying to create this atmosphere where his spirit can just move and we can all enjoy him. And then after church, ain't nobody invite me out to dinner or nothing. Like they'd be like, oh, that was great. Oh, you know, the Lord really used you. And then they walked away. And I'm like, okay.
Wow. Yeah.
You know, and those moments where like, when we experience the highs of life, but then we still just us, you know, whether you're a pastor, whether you're, you know, a business person, whoever you are, like what you do is not necessarily who you are.
That's right.
And this year has been that year that all of us have had to kind of look at that a little bit more closely and really before God ask that question and prayerfully get some answers about it. I mean, I know I've been getting some answers about that. Yeah. Part of my answer is, girl, you got some stuff you need to work through.
Yeah. Jesus is like, listen, let me holler at you, girl.
Be like, I love you. Now bring yourself over here. Yeah. Let's sit down.
You know, you lost your mind.
Come on. But my boy Todd Francis wrote that song, and I tell you, every time I would listen to it, I was like, man, I want to do this. I want to do this song so bad because it speaks to my heart. So that's the first single. But I mean, I got songs on there like when I think about my journey, because you know, I was, like I said, a church girl, 20 some odd years, right? So I got a song on there about that double standard of how it feels to be told as a woman, you know, don't do this, don't do that, you know, don't call the boy, he's supposed to be the one to do this and all of this, and all of these things, right? All these things they tell us to do or not to do. And then when you see the men coming to church, now mind you, this was my experience. This doesn't happen in every type of church, but in the type of experience that I had, when men walked in, they treated them more like predators than, you know, someone to be discipled or someone to be taught, right? So I'm like, we got all these single women in church, and as soon as a dude walks in, the brother's looking at him like, who are you? Trying to come in here and mess with our women type of thing. And so I'm like, yo, so who's gonna prepare someone for us? Because we still trusting God for somebody, and we don't want y'all. God bless you, but we don't want y'all. So when somebody new comes in, something got to be different, you know?
Right. That is
so
hilarious.
I got a song about that. I got a couple of songs on there about just situations that didn't work out well, you know, where in my bumbling through, I feel like, of trying to learn what the dating scene looks like, because I wasn't really taught very well. You know, my church experience was more of the don't touch, don't taste, don't do. So I just kind of stayed.
Yeah. So then what do you do? How are we even prepared if the only thing we've been taught is not to do something? But here's the other part of that. We never fully explained why.
Right.
The why behind the what.
And the practical why. Because we explain the spiritual why. I got that part. You know, I know about soul ties and I know about, you know, and this and that. But I don't know about, like, I had a whole husband before I really understood what it means to be friends with someone that you are physically attracted to. Mm. And I got a lot of friends that are in that same camp. I know some people are probably listening right now like, honey, what planet did you come up on?
But still, if you haven't experienced it and we haven't had those conversations, listen, I have a teenager in my house now. Just pray. Because listen, I have a teenager, a boy at that. Who's a great kid. But I'm learning, you know, and it's not, of course, thank God he has a village. That is bigger than me.
That's so good. That's so good.
But what do I teach him about dating?
Yeah.
What do I teach him about abstinence? Yes, teaching him not to do it, but it's so much bigger than that, especially in this time.
Definitely.
And the biggest thing is I can teach all day, but what I model is going to be what you follow.
Come on. That's the truth.
So you can talk and I could have the scripture laid out. Listen, I'm a teacher. I could write a whole lesson plan. I could have this whole thing together.
Yes.
But how I live,
definitely,
and what I show him by who I entertain. My children have never seen people here, there, and everywhere in my
That's
world.
really good. That's really good.
And it's not judgment to anyone that has. It's just what I'm saying is this is what God has given me. What you model is what will be followed.
That's good. That's
and
good.
not
And
just
it's
for
true.
our kids, for whoever we're connected with.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you could be walking down the street and not know that your neighbor has been watching you for years. And your walk matters.
Heck yeah.
It matters. So if that's the case, we got to be honest about the walk and say, listen.
And what we're thinking about as we're strolling, right? Like, because that was the stuff I didn't understand. Like, I didn't know how to make a good choice because I wasn't in enough situations to teach me even what I liked. You know, it was all, everything was down to, this is the script of what he needs. He needs to love God, and he needs to this, and he needs to that, and he needs to this, and he needs to that. Like, can we talk about the fact that he needs to be able to hold a conversation with me? Like, can we talk about the fact that like
I need to laugh. I need like the debate. Like it's not all super spiritual. God is not as complicated as we make him out to be. He's actually pretty simple, and there has to be chemistry.
Yes,
there should be an attraction.
But that thing alone, I feel like, has been the most difficult part about my and other sisters that I know about our walk, because chemistry was almost demonized. In the types of circles that I grew up in. Like, God forbid if you feel a little something when you see somebody, the spirit of lust, you go fast and pray and then cast out them.
Lord.
Like,
I always say you're going to have to come back on because we're going to have to cut all of that foolishness. Because if I am serving God, so let's just be honest. Let's say this and then I'm going to have to just repent later, but it's okay. So if I am believing God for a husband,
come on,
the person that I'm going to be with forever, right? That's the dream for most people, right?
Right.
I'm going to want all of those things.
Girl, say it.
So
I want somebody that, yes.
I was like, yes, I want him to love you, but I also need him to be fine, Jesus. And I also need that when we are in order and when we are married, those things will be great. So Lord,
they better be amazing.
I'm not trying to wait and then
because I'm trying to keep all of this, Holy Ghost in the beautiful. This is all the way on the web box. But this was one of the things for me that was depressing about my marriage. In my marriage, I was like, so I waited 20 some years, and this is what it's going to be like for the rest of my life, Jesus. So you said till death. Which one else you going to kill? You going to kill him? You going to kill me? I'm just trying to figure out which.
And so that's the thing, right? When we are not clear, and sometimes that allows us, because we don't fully understand. Right. It can move us into situations and things that are not God. They may look like God, right. It may even feel like God at that time, but it's not God. And that's where that transparency of coming to God and really seeking him comes in. So listen, Joe, I can talk to you all day. You definitely come back. You have to come back. But I want to get to this music. So your music is all of it. It is your transparency poured all out.
It's out there. I got songs about my husband on there. It's veiled a little bit, but it's my own version of Can't Hurry Love is the song about what happened with my marriage. A couple of situations. I fell in love with somebody that had a whole entire wife, and I was like, well, Jesus, we just gonna act like I made that up. Like, I just, thank God nothing. Thank God. I mean, truly thank God that nothing happened. But yeah, like it's stuff like that where I'm like, Lord, people deal with this, right? And I need people not to feel like they're, crazy, off, this way, that way. This is real life. And that's what you want from us. You want us to bring our real life to you so that you can really help us wherever we really are. Yes. And so I'm doing that. I'm saying, hey, let me be the guinea pig. I'll be the one. If y'all want to talk about me and call me unholy, this or that, I'll take it. I've been called worse. But somebody is going to get free, and somebody's going to realize I can still bring this to Jesus. I'm not so far off that he doesn't want to hear me because I've done this or felt this or whatever. Yes.
That's right. That's right. So how can we get your music?
Yes. So Who Am I is already available. All of the digital media outlets.
We'll drop the link in the Facebook Live.
Yes. 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 Apple Music, Amazon, all of them. All of them.
All right. So grab the single Who Am I
Yes.
by Jewel Booker right now. Tell somebody else about it. Listen, wait for the rest of the music that will be dropping soon. Listen, you
Very
do
soon.
not want to miss it. I'm
That's
telling
what's
you,
up.
this is time to get free, y'all. This is the
Yeah.
perfect season to pour out to God. Listen, we don't got to be perfect for him. He just wants us to come. So get that transparency, lay your burdens out to him, your fears, your wants, your desires, whatever, everything. Give it to him.
Amen.
And get free. It has been a pleasure, Joy. I just so love your spirit. I definitely got to have you back. I just want to say to you that your best days are ahead of you and not behind. And I am so excited to see what God does for you, in you, and through you. So I am just excited. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Sis.
Shout out to my son, Quincy, the best producer ever. I love you. His birthday's coming up next week. So we're excited about that. To everybody listening, thank you so much for tuning in. I pray that you heard from the Lord, because I certainly did. And I thank you. I don't take for granted that you take time to listen every week as I share what God has given me to share and been obedient to his assignment. My prayer is that you don't see me, but that you see him. In closing, she thinks, she prays, she feels, she cries. She prays, she trusts, she overcomes, and ultimately she heals. This is the She Heals Radio Show with your host, Whitney J. Have an amazing weekend. We will see you back here next Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take care. God bless. Is it in there? Oh, I lost her.